I know you're more pro DeSantis. Are you for DeSantis explicitly?
Yeah, I mean, give me another option, but wow, he does everything Trump said he was going to do and didn't do. And I mean, he's just been the Energizer bunny. He's unbelievably competent. He knows what's going on. I don't care about the charisma issue. And, I was just thinking about this week because I wrote about, for my column, which is at my Substack, Coulter.substack.com. Sorry, I haven't mentioned that one time, and that's why I'm doing this podcast.
PoliceStateFilm.net.
Exactly.
Well, actually, now's the best time to announce it.
But there was a sick story that you guys might have heard about. It was so sick in New York City this week. There was a judge. There were these sick parents who were beating their little 3-week-old. When she was 3 weeks old, had broken ankles, brain hemorrhage, broken skull. 3 weeks old. So social workers put her into foster care. They come up again before a judge, and the social workers or child care advocates, whatever, they're begging the judge, do not send her back to these parents, do not send her back. And the judge says, no, we need family reunification, family preservation. So the next day, they give her the fatal blow. She dies in the hospital 2 days later. And it brought me back to when I worked in Congress, in the U.S. Senate. It was after the 1994 election. And you three, but you aren't, are too young to remember this. Life is really fun when Republicans win elections. And in 1994, man, that was unbelievable. Not only did Republicans take Congress for the first time in 40 years, but gigantic majorities in the House and the Senate. We had so many Republicans in the Senate that they had to, the way your offices are assigned, they go to what your previous job was. So if you were a senator, obviously you're above a House member, and then they go to like governors and then state legislatures, that sort of thing. We had so many new members, all Republicans, they had to go to a little known rule, the order in which your state was admitted to the union.
Wow.
Now, the stuff we got done, the changes to immigration, the changes to the death penalty, we had no death penalty in America. I mean, they've sort of rolled a lot of these changes back. They've rolled a lot of the immigration changes back. But one of the big changes that I remembered when I read the story, and that's what I wrote about, was it used to be kids could never get adopted. Mom, the crack-addicted mom would put the baby in the vat of boiling water, and the judge would say, yep, going back to her. And so kids would be foster care, mom would beat the crap out of her. Foster care, mom beats the crap out of her. And would go on for years. They'd never get adopted. So we passed a law, safety first, children's safety first. And more than half as many kids have been saved by that, like 1,000 a year. So I'm sorry, you ask about next year, and I just want Republicans to be serious and not be defeatist and not be like the Tea Party, because I also lived through that where we had, woohoo, Christine O'Donnell took out a rhino. Yeah, okay, and we lost like half a dozen Senate seats and got Obamacare. Winning majorities is important. Winning majorities is fun. Please stop saying, chaos, war. No, we have the upper hand right now. They are pushing crime. They are pushing open borders. They are pushing transgenders. Just keep your heads, Republicans, and stop doing the defeatist crap.
I mean, thinking back to the Reagan years, nobody used the phrase rhino. I mean, there were moderate Republicans, but the understanding was they're Republicans. I mean, there's a reason they have an R at the end of their name. That's right. They're not fake, and we don't want to kick them out. Our job is to actually rein them in and bring them into the team. And I think that the lesson of Reagan was that he was philosophically very grounded, but temperamentally very genial. The cocked head, the easygoing manner. And that allows people, even who are to the left of you, to go, okay, well, this guy's going to hear me out. He's going to meet me halfway. He has a conservative destination, but he's pragmatic about getting from here to there. And we've lost all that. In fact, I would say that our defining characteristic on the right has been philosophically unsteady, but temperamentally fanatical.
Yes.
So
well put.
So you've got all these guys who they're not that strong on the issues, but they're kooks.
Yes.
And
God bless you.
It's a really bad combination. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned, I think. And I mean, you mentioned the Trump DeSantis thing. I mean, to me, they both bring different things to the table. And in a healthy Republican Party, you'd have both elements. And what are the two elements I'm talking about here? Well, with DeSantis, a ruthless operational efficiency, which is critical to government. Somebody who knows how to burrow into the bureaucracy, fire that guy, change this rule. That's really important stuff. But the other part of it is this, it's the larger than life quality that I think Reagan had and Trump does have. I mean, if DeSantis walked into this room right now, we'd be like, hey, there's Ron DeSantis. But if Trump walked into this room right now, a kind of electric current would go through the room. And I've seen this happen time and time again. And I think that explains...
That would be my mace going off.
Well, it may be, but see, here the point is you're telling us who you think the best guy for the job is. I think we have to explain why the majority of the Republican base is continually and naturally attracted to Trump. That's what needs explanation.
I agree with you. And to put another way, what you just put, you remind me, this is what used to drive me crazy about Trump. You'd get these wild statements and the press would act as if once it comes out of his mouth, it's happened. And so our side would think, whoa, that's so great. He's going to end anchor babies. Yeah. But he never ended anchor babies.
It's the follow through you're concerned about.
But he was, what you want is, you want to be like a duck. This is what you just reminded me of, how you need to have a friendly demeanor, and that's right. You want to be floating peacefully on top of the water, but underneath you're pedaling, you're going crazy. Trump was exactly the reverse, above the water. It's crazy, nonsense, whoa, drowning, and nothing's actually happening. And nothing's happening below the water.
Why do you think it is that, I think, what was about a year ago, Ron DeSantis was the favorite. He was polling better. In the prediction markets, he was in the top spot. Trump was in second place. As of right now, on Predicted, he's in third place behind Nikki Haley. What causes that?
The indictments. The utterly BS indictments against Trump. I think the left is playing us like playing the Republican Party like.
You think
hold on. Nikki Haley's beating Ron DeSantis in the prediction market.
First, let's deal with Trump, and then I'll deal with Nikki.
But I mean, Anna, are you saying that you think the left has orchestrated the indictments so that Trump does become the nominee?
No, I think they genuinely, luckily they're crazies. They're moving in the same direction. So you have the smart ones like Carville and Axelrod realizing, hey, if we keep doing these BS attacks, another Russian investigation would be great, but that won't work because that gins up people. It's totally unfair. It's like going to the doctor's office and he hits your knee with a metal pallet. You can't help when someone is being unfairly attacked, and all except the Florida indictment is a real crime. But put a pin in that. He was dead in the water, Trump was. I mean, you can see it from the polling. When he announced, nobody was there, nobody cared, he was dead. That's when DeSantis was beating him. And after that first indictment in New York, that's the first time Trump's polls went up, and they won't stop talking about it, and they keep doing these BS unfair indictments. So the smart ones, Axelrod and that type, are saying, this is fantastic. We're going to trick them into making Trump their nominee, and that's our re-election plan for Joe Biden. And then Joy Ann Reids and the entire MSNBC, the entire network, they just genuinely hate Trump. So it works perfectly together. But that's when his numbers went up. And I mean, we'll see what happens.
But why wasn't DeSantis able to maintain the momentum that he initially had at that point?
It's Trump's numbers going up. If you look at the actual... It's not like people are leaving DeSantis. And Nikki, I think it's the donors, the neocon warmonger donors. She is perfect.
She's got Will Hurd's endorsement, the CIA operative.
If we pull up 538's polling aggregate, shows you a bunch of the polls. I don't know if it's all of the polls, but it's a list of a large amount of polls. We can see in the latest that from Beacon Research and Shaw, which is a Fox News sponsored poll, Trump beats Biden by 2 points, Haley by 4, DeSantis by 2. And then in another one of their same polls, they found Biden beating Trump by 1. Interesting. We have this from Morning Consult showing DeSantis loses to Biden by 3 and Trump loses to Biden by 1. There are a couple polls here that show DeSantis performing worse than Donald Trump in this one, but still winning. Premise has DeSantis beating Biden by 3 points and 2 points. And then we have Trump beating, this is amazing, this is coming from Premise, Trump beating Biden by 10 points. I think the polls and the prediction markets are reflecting something. It's not. So I don't know.
I think our next podcast should be in the Newt Gingrich Presidential Museum, because he was crushing the polls December before the election where he was wiped out. Or we could meet in the Rudy Giuliani Presidential Museum the year before, crushing the polls. No one came close. Or the Liddy Dole Presidential Museum. Now, she wasn't crushing them, but she was neck and neck with Bush.
Yeah.
Or the Fred Thompson presidential polls. The year before an election, it's mostly name recognition. Now, that it could still end up being the most known name in the universe right now, but I don't think the polls right now mean very much.
Granted that, I do think that we need to explain what's in front of us, right? We need to say why things are right now. Admittedly, things can change the way they are. And I think that with DeSantis, I like DeSantis, and DeSantis was actually helpful to me when I had my case with the Obama administration. He was then a congressman. There's something a little prosaic about him. He feels like he's giving you kind of a policy lecture of sorts.